What if you had an opportunity to come together with local animal advocates, with local organizations who care about helping animals, caring for pets and their people, providing compassionate care to both ends of the leash? What would you do to take advantage of those partnerships? How would you leverage those relationships that you have in your community to build a more compassionate planet for animals, starting with the animals in your own backyard? Those are some of the questions and ideas that we're going to explore today on the Street Dog Podcast, brought to you, of course, by the Street Dog Coalition. For those of you who don't know, we are a national nonprofit providing free veterinary care and related services to pets of people who are experiencing or at risk of experiencing homelessness. As always, I'm your host, Daria Tabana, and I'm also the Director of Development at the Street Dog Coalition. And I am really, really excited to welcome today's guest, Lisa Tynan, Marketing and Special Events Specialist. Is that two specials I'm counting? Okay.
Look, I don't want to like toot my own horn, but I'm kind of a special. No, it's a
Aw.
mouthful of a name.
Yeah, you are. That is so it's so awesome. I'm gonna say it again and I'm gonna finish your intro and it's gonna be great. Okay, Lisa Tynan, marketing and special events specialist at
Hmm.
Houston PetSet. Lisa brings a wealth of experience and passion for animal welfare, working tirelessly, sometimes in very cool shirts, as we see here today, working tirelessly to address the needs of homeless pets in the Houston area. So, through her role at Houston PetSet, she has helped drive impactful collaborations, including our upcoming event with Houston PetSet, the Street Dog Coalition, and Houston PetSet joining forces coming together, which we're going to talk about on this episode. So, we're really thrilled to have her here today to share more about her work and the incredible difference that Houston PetSet is making for pets and their guardians. Welcome to the podcast, Lisa.
That was quite an intro, and now I feel like I have to live up to it. So thank you so much for having me. It is, we talk about your question just got it got me all jazzed because our big focus at Houston PetSet is collaboration and community because we're all working towards the same end goal, and none of us can do this incredibly difficult, challenging, heartbreaking work without the community around us. So I'm jazzed to talk about all this collaboration, including, as you said, our upcoming collaboration.
Yay! And it's so true. Before we dive into these questions, I just want to kind of shine a light on what you're saying here. It's so true. So often the idea of making a huge impact on both animals and people in our communities, it feels really daunting. You get this sense of like, I don't really know where to start. There's a lot of like imposter syndrome that comes in, especially if you don't have lived experience. You're constantly wondering, like, am I doing the right thing? Am I saying the right thing? Is this making a difference? Does anyone care? And once you find yourself, connecting with organizations that really have a pulse on the people that we aim to serve, really know how to care for pets in a street clinic type of environment. It makes you feel less alone. It makes you feel like you can have a greater impact and it's more efficient. Like you feel like you're
Right.
not like redoing the same work and like competing with other organizations. So, why don't you get us started by sharing with us a bit about Houston PetSet's mission and how the organization is making an impact in the Houston area?
Yeah, absolutely. So Houston PetSet, we like to consider ourselves a unicorn type organization because we kind of do some things in the Houston area, but really um branching outward into the region, even in the state that really no other groups are focusing on. Um, we actually just celebrated our 20th anniversary. And so we've been doing this for 20 years. And a lot of people who we encounter day to day are like, how have you been around so long? I've never even heard of you. And that's partially because we didn't, for a long time, it was just volunteers and there was no marketing. But it's because we were very, very behind the scenes.
Mm,
And it was founded as an organization purely to raise money for other organizations. So rather than having programs and services, it was a group of, I think it was 6 animal lovers 20 years ago who were like, we love animals. We want to help. We have no expertise in this. We just have the passion and the will and the means. So they started putting on an annual fundraiser, and every year that money that they raised would then be granted, distributed to, the groups we say are in the trenches, the animal welfare, boots on the ground, shelters, rescues, the running the gamut of size. And that was pretty much it for the first, I want to say like 13 years, right? It was
Wow.
just fundraising. And then something, that everyone knows about, but folks in Houston, we hear it and cringe. Hurricane Harvey happened.
Mm.
And when Harvey hit, one of the biggest issues that we faced in Houston from the animal welfare perspective was we had a lot of animals here with nowhere to go,
Mm.
both in the shelters and in homes where people were evacuated, and there was just this like gigantic standstill. And
Mm.
so what we decided when we were presented a lot of our history, as an aside, is sort of just wonderful things being presented to us at very opportune moments. So in this moment, we had the opportunity to obtain a converted school bus that had been turned into a transport vehicle. And so we said, hey, we may not have a shelter, we may not have, resources where we can do anything with the animals ourselves, but we sure as hell can get them on a bus and get them out of Dodge. And so we started our transport program in 2017. And then from there, we started actually hiring employees. I say we, I was not there at this time. I've been here for 3 years, but so not that long. But we started hiring staff and focusing on how we could also, in addition to our granting program, provide services to Houston animals and people. So we started with that transport program, and it became, rather than just this emergency response, it became kind of a regular thing where we would collaborate with shelter partners and rescue partners in the region, and partners that we had partnerships in the Northwest, so Midwest, basically. So I will, as an aside, our 2 co-presidents, if anyone has followed us for any amount of time, you will have seen them. They are Tina and Tama, identical twin sisters, and they've been part of Houston PetSet for almost the entire time.
So cool, by the way.
Yes, and
So cool.
they are superstars, and they are from Minnesota, and their relationships in Minnesota are what enabled us to start, again, things that have just been presented to us. We've
Right.
taken advantage of them. So we had wonderful partners, and our transport program has been going pretty much nonstop since 2017. Recently, just cats, because they are now full in Minnesota. Their shelters are full of dogs. So that's another story for another day. But along the way, then a couple of years in, the pandemic happened, and the need that we found was people could not get care for their pets. They
Mm.
were stuck in their homes. They weren't allowed to go out. Vet clinics were considered, they were, what is it called? They were vital. What is the term?
Essential?
Essential. Thank you. They were essential workers. But they also, their staff had to be careful. We're getting sick. Anyway, there was a huge dearth of veterinary care. And we partnered with a group locally called Laurel's House, who was providing low cost veterinary care. And then we could subsidize that cost for emergency cases. So people
Wow.
who couldn't get into their vet. This is a mobile unit. Anyone who knows about Fido Fixers knows they are crushing it on the mobile unit front, these fully equipped vans. And we were able to provide this emergency care and cover the cost for folks who couldn't afford it. That has stuck with us. We then went ahead and got our own mobile unit. Thank you, Fido Fixers. And we have our own veterinary team. So we're able to provide either low cost or free spay and neuter care on that mobile unit.
Mm.
And that is thanks to City of Houston, who subsidizes that cost for us,
Oh,
and
wow.
also local municipalities, the city council districts, commissioners in Harris County. They see the need for spay and neuter services that their community can't afford. It's expensive.
Mm.
And they will pay and subsidize that cost. And we have our mobile unit, and we show up and we do that. We have a full-time vet staff, and they crush it.
Wow.
And that brings me to my favorite thing that Houston PetSet does, and this is also where our partnership with y'all really shines, is in addition to that spay and neuter that we provide, we also have a couple of incredible donors who um, are passionate about owned pets and
Mm,
keeping pets with their families. And we believe that at Houston PetSet, we believe that financial barriers should not be a reason that you can't have a pet. So we have this emergency fund where owners who are facing, and we don't means test. I'm going to start with saying we're not asking for your income. We're not asking for, your bills, anything like that. If you reach out to us and you tell us you're unable to pay a veterinary bill for your pet, we will call your vet clinic and we will put in a payment to help cover that cost. What
wow.
we found, and maybe you guys have experienced it as well, is there was a period of time where the rescue world was very quick to encourage people to give up their pets. If they
Mm,
couldn't afford care, if they had an emergency bill they couldn't cover, if they were facing hardships, the first instinct was, you shouldn't have that pet, you should surrender it and someone else can take care of it. I'm thankful that we're moving away from that now,
hmm.
because that pet has a home. Let's keep that pet in home. We have enough
Right.
homeless animals who are struggling that we need to work on resources for them. We don't need to be adding to the burden of the shelters and the
Yep.
rescues. We are more than happy to help keep pets with the people who love them. And so that kind of covers the range of what Houston PetSet does. Like I said, it's very behind the scenes, and we're really out there supporting people who are doing the work, in addition to focusing on keeping pets in families and in homes if they have them.
It's I appreciate this history. It's amazing what can happen from, taking the time as an organization to simply it almost feels like for a while you guys were like studying the work of these nonprofit organizations in order to fund them and in order to, support them financially and with resources. And that's so interesting because what I have found is that oftentimes, of course, there's no right or wrong way to get into this, kind of work. But what I found is oftentimes rescuers just kind of like just dive in before they know it. They have all these animals and they're the
Right.
person that everyone calls and like, okay, here we go. Now my garage is a cat sanctuary and
Right.
it's so interesting. And I'm sure that to some degree there was some of that going on with your team in the early stages as well. But it is really interesting to hear that your organization started as like like a b2b organization. You were there helping other nonprofits, ensuring that they had the resources that they needed. And I feel like that is such a beautiful way to learn about the needs of other organizations, to maybe get a sense of some of the missteps that other organizations take, and to then forge a path forward from a position where you're like really informed and where you really have your finger on the pulse. And it's so cool, just even poking around on your website and hearing about the work you do in Houston. You guys are very popular. Everyone knows you. And your podcast is great, actually. I hope you chat about that too. But I'm curious to know how exactly how, over these past few years, especially since you've been there, like, how do you guys approach these partnerships and collaborations? And I'm gonna, I've only been at the Street Dog Coalition for a couple of years too, so maybe you can even shine a light on how, our partnership started. I appreciate you mentioning that our mission aligns with some of the work you do as well. So, like, how do you pick? There's so many great people doing so much great work.
Oh man, it is. I will tell you, one of the things that has been kind of interesting to watch from our side. And again, I've only been with Houston PetSet for 3 years, but I've been in Houston Animal Welfare since I moved here in 2013. So it's been interesting to watch. Number one, the arc of how things have gone here in Houston when we're talking about animal welfare, but also from our perspective as kind of the center of a wheel with spokes going out, and we have all of these partnerships.
That's a great image, by the way. I think that's what was happening in my mind, and I so
Yes.
appreciate you saying that. Okay, go ahead.
We, we're at the middle. Everyone on the outside is doing all of this work, and we are just providing the
Wow.
support as that happens. And our granting process has sort of evolved over the years as well. Number one, it has grown. I want to say, and someone will correct me if I'm wrong, I think the first year they did it, there were like 18, something like that. I think there were fewer than 20 rescues that they granted to. Last year we granted to 89, and it was $400,000 that we were able to grant amongst those groups this year. And in addition to the marketing and special events, I'm also currently our grant manager. So I know these
Of course
numbers
you
very,
are.
of
That's how
course,
everyone gets into fundraising, by
right.
the way. Just like
Small
we're
groups, we
just
all do a million things.
yep. We call them accidental fundraisers, and it seems
Exactly.
like everyone is an accidental fundraiser. So,
Exactly, because you can't work a nonprofit without that.
yep.
Um, but this year we had 98 applicants. So
Wow.
number one, there is a huge need. We just know that. And all we don't advertise necessarily our granting program. It's on our website, but we ask every grant applicant, how did you hear about this? And so many of them are word of mouth.
Mm,
So our partners are talking to each other, which is part of our goal. No one needs to be in a silo. Nobody needs to be, like you said, no one should be reinventing the wheel. We should all know what everybody is doing so that we're not duplicating efforts if
yeah.
they don't need to be, and so that we're all kind of on the same page working towards the same goal. So we take our grant program pretty seriously in the way that we want to make sure that where we are putting our money, it's going to be used efficiently and effectively. So we have a pretty extensive application process where we want budgets, we're asking for numbers. How many pets did you adopt, transport, spay and neuter over the last year? And we're asking these groups to show us that if we give you money, will you use it wisely? And to what you were talking about, where people just kind of dive in, they're like, okay, I'm a rescuer now. First of all, we require you to be a 501c3 if we're going to
Nice.
grant to you. And we track. We're not like big brothering, but we track our grant recipients because we want to make
Of
sure, number
course.
one, that you're not drowning, and
Yeah.
number two, that you are participating in animal welfare in a way that is productive.
Mm,
And so we hold them accountable. And in that way, there's an open two-way line of communication. So we call and have an interview, or I like to do the ones where we do site visits in person with every single grant applicant.
that's
Uh,
awesome. I feel like
Thank you to our
that
grant
doesn't
committee.
happen very often.
Right. We are in it, and we want to make sure not only, like I said, that everyone is being held accountable, but that they know that we are there to support them.
Mm,
We have our year-round granting, but we also will do emergency grants for groups who have a sudden influx of a lot of animals or a really extensive medical case. We want them to know that we are here for them, and that builds trust on both directions. And there have been groups that we have granted to in the past that we have seen you're not holding up your end of the bargain in whatever way, you're not upholding your mission, or you are straying too far from what we perceive to be the overarching mission of animal welfare. And we will not grant to a group if we don't feel that they are operating from a place of integrity and accountability. Um, and the spokes of the wheel just keep getting more plentiful, and we make these connections and we grow these relationships. And it's all about, people know us by name. They have our phone numbers. They are friends with us on Facebook. And we've built this network so that people feel supported and empowered to go out and do this daunting work, as you called it, every single day.
wow. It's impressive to hear how and this goes back to what I was talking about, how you spent so much time at the foundation of building this organization, really like studying the needs and the wants of your grant recipients, and getting such a good sense of, I'm sure there are times where you can even identify an issue or potential issue before even the grant recipient can identify the issue, right? So
Absolutely.
it is it is so critical for us smaller nonprofits. Street Dog Coalition, we receive multiple grants all the time. It's just what we do to have, and we have individuals like you who are really in love with the mission that, and the work that we're doing, and really help us kind of like zoom out and
Yes.
help us take a look at what's on the horizon, make sure that we have what we need, all the resources that we need, make sure that, we're not at the risk of burnout, make sure that we're kind of growing at a pace that feels steady and doable. So that kind of support is invaluable.
Absolutely.
It's really amazing to have I don't want to say like hand holding, but hand holding in like the most beautiful way. Like,
It's
the way
supporting, it's lifting each other up.
yes, I like that, lifting each other up.
Yeah.
And especially in the rescue world, it can feel so lonely. You can feel like you have no idea what you're doing because half the time you don't know what you're doing and you're just
None of us do. We're all just flying by the seat of our pants.
yeah, just figuring it out as you go along. So that's really, really cool. And it makes perfect sense to me as to why your organization and our organization, why we decided to come together to help make a huge impact on pets of people experiencing homelessness or at risk of experiencing homelessness in Houston. I'm so grateful for our partnership, and I know we have this juicy event coming up, and I'm so excited. Before we dive into my question about the event, I want to just acknowledge that we have a fabulous supporter who said, "Thank you so much." This is Kay Kiefer commenting, saying, "Thank you so much, Street Dog Coalition," and like, oh. That just brings me so much joy. Thank you, Kay, for chiming
Absolutely.
in. Because I every time, and I mean this, every time someone says thank you to the Street Dog Coalition, every time someone donates to the Street Dog Coalition, really what they're doing is thanking us and donating to us, but also I feel like thanking and donating to all of our partner organizations. Like if you go on our website, we have a page for each of our teams where we have, over 60 teams, and we've listed all of our partner organizations on each page, and truly without them our work would be impossible. So I'm going to extend that thank you and all that love to Houston PetSet as well.
Thank you.
And I'm so excited. Can you tell us a little bit about, so the impetus behind this episode here was really this upcoming event that we have that we've partnered on. And maybe you can give us, as we wrap up our conversation, a bit of insight into our upcoming event, the impact it will have. And can you tell us how listeners can get involved and support the event?
Absolutely. Yes. So, way back at the beginning of my rant, I talked about the fact that we like to keep pets with their families. And I
Yes.
emphasize with their families and not necessarily in their homes, because not every pet and not every owner has a physical home that they live in, but that doesn't make their bond and their relationship any less valuable and
I
valid.
love that.
So, if there's a way that Houston PetSet can help these families, then we're going to find a way to do it. And as we said, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. Y'all are already out there doing the outreach. So what we can do is we can provide the veterinary care. And our vet team, I have to give them a quick little shout out
Yes.
because they're on a mobile unit. Like I said, okay, it's a van. This is not a brick and mortar clinic. We have an amazing high volume, high quality spay and neuter veterinarian and 3 team members who are on this tiny little bus. And we
Wow.
operate 4 days a week. And in this last month, we were able to fix, I think it was 467 pets,
Oh my
just
God.
operating 4 days a week in 1 month.
In
And
1 month. Oh,
so
that's
they
huge.
are
Whoa.
just like knocking it out. So that was a shout out to them because they are amazing. And they believe in this work. And so when we're able to take our little van and find a place and park it and provide these services to people who maybe don't have a vehicle or can't get off of work or whatever the case may be, and we can do this in the community and meet people where they're at, we jump at the opportunity. So we're really excited to be able to provide this. We know vet care is expensive. Vet products ordering, we have to order all of our supplies. That price just keeps going up. So the fact that we're able to do this at no cost to owners. And thank you to all the donors who make that possible. That's huge. These pets are going to get fixed, microchipped, and vaccinated. And so they'll be set. The microchip and the fixing, obviously, that's for life. The vaccine will keep them safe for another year. Um, and so we're stoked about that. I do also, you asked how people can help.
Yeah.
Um, we're focused on the pets, but we're also focused on the people who love them. And that means we will be putting together care packages to send home with owners as well. And in order to be able to do that, we need people's help donating. So we posted it on our Facebook page, and I'm later today going to add a link on our website as well. But we have an Amazon wish list. If you're not local, but you want to help us, we're supplying, with prepackaged food, granola bars, things like that, socks, feminine products, travel size shampoos and conditioners, backpacks, things that people can just walk away with and have some supplies that will get them through hopefully the next couple days, weeks, or months without feeling quite so alone. So if you want to donate through our Amazon wish list, you can do that. We also, if you're local, we have a drop-off point at one of our fabulous partners. It's the Pet Supplies Plus located at Braes Heights. They are collecting physical donations
Oh,
uh,
nice.
that you can bring and drop off if you feel more comfortable buying something and handing it yourself, because some people love that person-to-person aspect of it.
Oh,
And this is a way, we're an animal welfare organization, but we can't do anything about the animal homelessness crisis without addressing the people in the community. And so we're so thankful for the opportunity to be able to partner with y'all on this, and make some folks' lives just a little bit less stressful and scary, so they can feel just a little bit less alone and not have to worry about their pets quite as much.
yeah, that is awesome. And I really appreciate the distinction that you're making that you made earlier when you said that you know, th- keeping families together. These pets have guardians. These pets have people who love them. There really is no reason for them to, there are some cases where there are exceptions, but there's really, for the most part, no reason for them to be in a shelter, especially because homelessness is it can be a temporary disposition. There is very much a world in which, and therein lies, I think, the ultimate goal of a lot of our partner organizations that are working to provide housing to people who are unhoused, working to help people get back on their feet. There's absolutely a world in which the individuals that we serve find homes within the next 6 months, within the next
Yep.
12 months, get jobs, get back on their feet. And it is so critical for us as, to come together to ensure that during what is most likely you know, the most challenging part of someone's life, struggling with loss, sometimes addiction, oftentimes homelessness, sometimes like, the death of a loved one who was the financial provider for them. I mean, the reasons why people find themselves living on the street are immense and very unique. But oftentimes those situations are temporary. So we really, really appreciate all of the resources that you provide us with to ensure that these individuals have, the love of their animal by their side and also have access to basic products that you and I take for granted every
Absolutely.
day, that these individuals are just as worthy of, experiencing, receiving, having at hand as we are. We just happen to have a few more dollars in our pocket and we're able to get those things for ourselves. So I am so excited. What I have done is I've included a link to Houston PetSet's website in the show notes. If you'd like to send me a link to this Amazon wish list, I will go ahead and add that to the show notes as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, and can you share with us the date of the event?
Yes, it's going to be on October 19th. And we've got y'all made a beautiful flyer that we've been sharing all over the place. One of the things that, like you said, that we take for granted is internet access.
Yeah.
Um, if anybody knows of someone who could benefit from these services that may not have access to a smartphone or the internet, we absolutely encourage you to let them know that this is happening. Because even even if it's the only time they will ever receive vet care for their pet, it's worth it.
Yeah.
We've just helped them. You talked about this, how important these animals are to someone. I'm currently surrounded by sleeping pets. They're all off cat. Miraculously, nobody has jumped up onto my lap during this. This is like the a first ever. Um, I know that, especially my old senior kitty, she has gotten me through some really tough times in my life.
Yeah.
And if I were ever in a position where I couldn't take care of her, the immense guilt that I would carry with me, um, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And
Yeah.
so the compassion needs to be extended to both pets and people. And I'm so excited that we're able to do that through our partnership with y'all. October 19th. We have this posted everywhere that we can possibly post it. And so we look forward to the partnership and to helping out a lot of deserving people.
I can't wait to hear how it goes. The pictures are always, for me, all the way over in Philadelphia, the pictures just like every time I see them, especially from our, Houston team, just like a single tear running down the face. They are amazing. The work that you do in collaboration with us and with so many organizations is life-changing to say the least. You guys are, you've really figured it out.
We're trying.
You've
There's always more to learn.
There's
There's
always
always
more to
more to learn.
learn, but the work you do is so efficient and so effective. And I'll end this conversation the same way I started it, and that is just by thanking you from the bottom of my animal loving heart, thanking you on behalf of everyone at the Street Dog Coalition. One of our core values is unbridled collaboration, and this relationship that we have with Houston PetSet, I think embodies that value so, so, so well, especially because oftentimes, we don't have the resources to collect items for the clients that we serve. Sometimes the bare minimum we can do is help their pets. So we really, really lean on our partner organizations like Houston PetSet, folks who have the resources, who have an amazing staff, which includes yourself, to really kind of go the extra mile, if you will, and make sure that not only the pets that we take care of feel seen and supported, but also the clients who are bold enough to bring them there. And I really appreciate you saying, even if this is the first time that you are, or the only time that you get your that you bring your pet to a clinic, that's great too. And I think yeah, I think that that's really, really something to to think about, right? Is that oftentimes I think pet owners feel like I can't make this a regular thing. So what's the point? Or, maybe when I have a little bit more time or money, then I'll take care of this. But the truth is that that one appointment you make could be the difference between, your pet's health and having a pet that is less happy and less healthy than is ideal. So one of our supporters, John Mark, he commented and he said, "You'll love this. Stray animals, stray human beings, no difference. Love conquers all." What a great way to end this
Oh,
episode.
that's just so beautiful. I love, I know we can't stop.
No,
We have
go
to,
for it.
uh, but I have worked, my entire career has been animals and animal welfare. And so many people are like, ugh, you must work in animal welfare because you hate people. You can't work in this industry without loving and caring about people,
I agree.
because at the end of every leash is a person.
Yeah,
And it doesn't matter if that person lives in a mansion or lives in a tent under the overpass, they are still worthy of our care and our
totally.
compassion. And so thank you, John, for making that wonderful comment, because it doesn't matter who you work for, what industry you're in, our hearts should be open enough to care about all living creatures.
Yes. Oh, this conversation, Lisa, has been so good. I love how we started things off by talking about all these different podcasts You and I are going to start a podcast one day. It's
We
going to
are.
be
It's going to be about celebrity pets for anyone who was wondering what we've decided. We're just going to, so that people could talk about their pets, because that's all we want to do anyway,
That's
right?
all we want to do anyway. Oh my gosh. Lisa, this conversation has been amazing. I want to thank you again so much for taking the time to chat with me. Thank you, John Mark. Thank you, Kay. Thank you to everyone else who tuned in live to this episode. I am so excited to post this episode immediately, send you a link so we can use it to help get the word out about this event. And I absolutely can't wait, like I said, to see the pictures come in. They're going to be heartwarming and exciting. And I just want to thank you again so much, Lisa. We got to have you back on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. You know, I'm respond quickly. So let me know.
Yes, you
And thank you to
do.
everybody at the Street Dog Coalition for the incredible work that y'all are doing all across the country, not just here in Houston. We are grateful that someone is filling this need, and we look forward to a long and productive partnership.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And until next time, right? Take care. Adios.
Bye.